kind of floundering around 500 for the last couple of weeks. 3-3 last week. They were 3-4 the week before. 6-7 in the last 13. That's not getting it done. And the Red Sox aren't, they're not destroying people. Red Sox 6-4 in their last 10. The Yankees 5-5 in their last 10. So they're not. It's not like they're running away from anybody, but they're just maintaining the bulge that they had when they swept the Yankees in those 5 games back a month and a half ago. So, that's why. So when I say that, things aren't going great for the Yankees right now, they're not going that great for the Red Sox either. But the Red Sox were so ridiculously good. And here's the other stat that I want people to know: Red Sox against the Houston Astros, 3-4.
Okay.
Red Sox against the Oakland A's, 2-4. They're not good against playoff teams. So
I didn't want to say that. But.
Don't be surprised. and against Cleveland, I'm pretty sure they're on. I think they're 2-4 against Cleveland too.
Okay.
Don't be surprised if the Red Sox quote unquote magical season ends in not in the American League Championship Series, not in the World Series, but in the American League Division Series,
the ALDS,
the DS. Don't be surprised. Because
this isn't a wish thing, is it?
It's not a wish thing. It is a thing where you look at records of how teams have performed against good teams this season. The Red Sox have beaten up on bad teams. Every time they play a bad team, they win a game. But when they play a good team, not really. It's not the way it is. So, would I like to see it? Yeah, of course I would. But that's not why I'm saying it.
Right. Of course.
It's not the wishful thinking Tim Leonard saying this. It is the pragmatic, fact-based Tim Leonard saying this.
Of course.
Because look at the numbers. The numbers tell you. Granted, small sample size. Can't argue with that. Can't argue with the small sample size. But when the Red Sox have played good teams, they have not played well this season. So, when your record against those teams is under 400. That's not good. That's not getting you. That's not good for the survive and advance world of playoff baseball. So, right, the Red Sox just played the Astros. Didn't do so well. The Yankees right now are, we'll see. Tanaka had a good game the other day.
Right.
Aaron Judge should be taking batting practice in a couple of days, and we'll go from there. When Aaron Judge comes back, then we'll see maybe more of the real Yankees.
I agree. On the phone with us, brother. Last year we had him on. We'll bring him back again to talk about the U.S. Open. Of course, it's right in our backyard over at Flushing Meadows. Is independent tennis observer Dan DeRosalia. Dan, welcome back to the show. How you doing?
Good morning, guys. How are you today?
Dan.
We're doing good. And I thought we were going to have like a nice little show about Venus Williams. Maybe not. Serena Williams. Maybe winning, maybe not, but it was a great story that she went all the way to the finals. And then you got this whole thing this morning, everyone talking about her match and, is it sexism? Was it fair that she got, fined and penalized?
I'm going to put it out there right now, brother. Serena got screwed.
She did.
She got screwed.
So what were you thinking, Dan, as you're watching this?
I'm not sure of the instance you're referencing. Can you be more specific? No, I'm kidding, of course. So I actually don't think Serena got screwed. I actually, obviously, when these things happen, it's not a zero-sum game, right? There's fault to go around. Carlos Ramos is a chair umpire who is known for kind of going by the letter of the law.
Right.
He has assigned point penalties to Novak Djokovic. Andy Murray at the 2016 Olympics was assigned a code violation by him for Andy Murray's comment that he was the victim of, quote, stupid officiating. So I'm having a hard time getting to this.
What's wrong with that?
This gender bias leap.
Right.
Because the chair umpire he's the only chair umpire that's ever umpired the men's singles finals of all 4 Grand Slams. So this is a very accomplished umpire. And, I think it's very dangerous to throw sexism, racism. I mean, that's a pretty significant character assassination. And without merit, I'm just having a hard time getting there.
And
I would not want somebody to do that to me just because somebody was upset at something that I did.
I understand that point, but isn't it also a character assassination to essentially say that Serena's cheating?
No, I don't think it is, because he didn't actually sanction Serena for cheating. He sanctioned the coach. The only way, and this happens frequently in tennis, but the only way to actually, deal with a coaching issue is to warn the player. You can't eject the coach from the stadium. That's not the way tennis works. So whether or not Serena was actually involved in, I don't think she hatched a plan, with the coach to come up with cheating signals before the match. But the coach was cheating by his own admission.
He did say later on,
signaling to her. So when he says to her, you get a warning, that's not necessarily a character assassination at her. It might have nothing to do with her, but she's the one who takes that warning because there's no other way to do it.
I got a question. Why can't a coach? I mean, they're the coach.
That's the part that makes no sense.
Why can't they say, "Hey, here, maybe you should go more to your right or your left or whatever the coach tells them"? Why do they disallow someone in the stands who obviously is her coach or advisor or whatever? Why would they disallow this? Is it that big of a deal?
That's been the deal with tennis forever, and frankly, I hope it changes because it's literally impossible to police. The fact that this chair umpire has given warnings over the past 2 years to Nadal, Djokovic, and Murray, all for coaching, means it's impossible to police, and also means it goes on with a level of frequency that probably just means it should be allowed at this point, and I hope they do address it. But the fact of the matter is, there is a rule on the book, and if the chair umpire sees that it's going on, I'm not sure what he's supposed to do, because if he doesn't address it, now he's actually disfavoring Osaka. And as the chair umpire, it's his job to make sure that the match is played fairly between two competitors.
Well, but how do we know that it wasn't happening with Osaka? I mean, that's the other part.
We don't, but he did see it happening with Mouratoglou, who is Serena's coach.
Well, but here's my issue with this whole thing. I don't understand why, and Rob just said this, why the coaching isn't allowed in the first place. But B is, as long as it doesn't delay the match, or if you just have a coach giving, from what I understood and what I read, the coach was giving her a hand signal that she should move more to the net and move more back and forth. So that's a couple of hand signals. It doesn't take any kind of time. It doesn't delay the match. Why is it a bad thing?
It's not a match. I don't think the rule is on the book as a means of delaying the match. I think the rule is on the book for authenticity purposes of the match. They don't want they want the players to figure it out themselves. That's the way tennis is, for better or for worse. The chair umpire has nothing to do with the rules of the tennis. He's only in that chair to strictly enforce the rules of tennis. So it's a separate discussion of why is coaching from a coaching box illegal. It's his job to, as the chair umpire and as a decorated chair umpire, it's his job to carry out the rules as the way the sport is written. And that's what he did. So I'm not sure what he's supposed to do. If he sees a clear violation of the rules, I'm not sure why he's supposed to ignore it.
So what do you think of the rest of the tournament? The 2 weeks that we saw. What do you take away from it as an observer?
Well, unfortunately, this is the story, and the shame of it is Osaka didn't just play brilliantly versus Serena Williams. She played brilliantly for 2 weeks. I think she only lost one set in the entire tournament to an up-and-coming 20-year-old player named Irina Sabalenka from Belarus in, I believe, the round of 16. Otherwise, she had a 6-love, 6-love win. She had a 6-1, 6-1 win in the quarterfinals. She straight set at Madison Keys in the semis. And she was going to beat Serena Williams whether or not Serena Williams was docked the game by the chair umpire, because she beat her 6-2 in the first set and was up a break in the second. She had a wonderful tournament, and I just feel very badly for her that her moment was marred by what happened.
Because Serena was the story, I mean, even before the finals, because, hey, she was playing really well. She was dominating. She looked like old Serena. To me, that was the story. It reminded me a little bit, even though she's a little bit younger, of when Connors went to the semifinals in '91, but not as dramatic because, of course, let's be honest, Jimmy Connors is dramatic.
I think it was similar from a standpoint of the way that it gripped the New York audience and the U.S. Open followers.
Sure.
The Connors run in 91 was much flukier than the Serena run. Serena's obviously one of the best players in the world, if not the best, when she's fit, she's trained, she's on her game, and she's focused. Connors' run was very, very fluky.
Yeah, because at that point, he was an old player.
Correct. He was almost 40 years old at that point, if he maybe 39.
39, yeah.
Yeah, and that was kind of like one last dip into the fountain of youth for him.
Yeah, I mean, everybody knew that was Connors' last stand at the Open. I mean, I think everybody figures that Serena Williams has a great chance to be back in the same spot again next year because she's just so good.
Yes. Absolutely agree. I mean, she's not going anywhere yet.
No.
There's just nobody has really shown that they are capable of toppling her from the mountain. But again, there have been some cracks. But
yeah, well,
you make it to the final.
I'm not sure she's won a tournament since she's come back.
I don't think she has. I was about to say. I mean, there was what was the major that she got to the final before? She
got to the finals of Wimbledon and lost in straight sets to Angie Kerber, who's won 3 majors herself and is very accomplished. She lost 6-love, 6-1 to Jo Konta in the tournament after that with some extenuating circumstances. I think a few minutes before the match, she found out that the person who murdered her sister had been paroled from jail, so she obviously wasn't with it at that point.
Right.
And then she lost to Petra Kvitova in the tune-up tournament before the U.S. Open. So she's making deep runs, but she hasn't gotten over the hump since she's been back yet. But she will.
Yeah.
Right. And what about the men's side? We only have a few minutes. We're talking with Dan DeRosalia, independent tennis observer, talking about the U.S. Open that happened over at Flushing Meadows. What about the men's finals? Because let's be honest, the men's finals, or the whole men's tournament doesn't get the play the women's does now, at least in my eyes.
Huh?
Yeah, no, it's always, they focus on the women a lot more lately.
Djokovic was outstanding, but he got a little help.
Djokovic was outstanding. To me, the story of the men's tournament was the attrition taken by the toll of the heat and humidity and the warm weather that really played a part in determining lots of matches in the tournament. I mean, what happened to Federer is a shame, and it hurt the tournament.
Very true.
Nadal had 3 difficult matches in a row and then couldn't make it through the Del Potro match unscathed. So,
yeah, because
it led to a whole discussion about should men be playing 3 out of 5 or 2 out of 3, which I think we probably talked about last year.
We did, and you're for 2 out of 3. I'm for 3 out of 5 for everyone. You actually gave a good point on why it should be 2 out of 3.
My brother just wants to beat athletes into the ground. That's his whole goal.
I don't think the women can play 3 out of 5 because they generally don't get enough free points on their serve, so they would just be out there forever.
Okay, good point. But I also thought that, and we were talking about the heat of the place because it was a couple of really hot days. Isn't
90 plus?
Can't they shut the roof and then maybe put in some AC or something? Or
no.
Do something.
They have to play matches all over the grounds.
Put AC in ash. I don't believe that that Louis Armstrong Stadium has air conditioning right now.
Oh, okay.
And then what do you do with all the outer courts in the first round?
So you're playing tennis all over the grounds. So no, that's my brother is somebody who favors pitchers throwing 150 pitches in a game, and
I do
3 out of 5. He doesn't want the 5th set tiebreaker either.
No,
let him play until 30-28. He doesn't care.
30-28 would be fantastic.
Honestly, what I would like to see happen is I would like to see a combination of our ideas. I would like to see probably the men go to 2 out of 3 in the first week and then ratchet it up to 3 out of 5 in the second week. There was one day in the second round where there were 7 retirements and they were all on the men's side, and that's not good for tennis.
True.
No, that's true.
Agreed.
Dan, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you in a year, I guess. Dan DeRosalia, independent tennis observer, talking about the U.S. Open at Flushing Meadows. Thanks a lot. Timmy, that's another show we've burned.
In the books.
Coming up next, they don't call him Big Ed for nothing. They call him Big Ed because he's big. He's 17 feet tall. Or something.
And his name is Ed.
And his name is Ed. That is true. Anyway, we just got to read something very quickly here, brother. Just to let you know, Herbally Yours every Tuesday at 3:30 p.m., hosted by the natural nurse Ellen Kamine. The show focuses on current issues in natural health, such as natural foods, herbs, essential oils, and mind-body techniques. That's Herbally Yours every Tuesday at 3 p.m. right here on 90.3 WHPC, the voice of Nassau Community College. Big Ed coming up next. Take care. Good gold. Don't even touch a dime.
The views expressed on air are not necessarily those of WHPC, its management, or Nassau Community College. Responsible opposing viewpoints will be considered by emailing them to